This is Paco. I'm going to talk about poetry today. So I'm going to read a poem by Darwin that is called The Seer Blind. And also, I'm going to show you guys some interviews of the teachers that what is poetry and what is the meaning to them and what they know about poetry. And also, they give you advices of to how can you improve your poetry skills and how it's an easy way to understand. So I'm gonna start reading the poem. It says, "Always knew that I came from another language, and now when I can no longer see, I continue to arrive at words. I was betrayed into the true calling and denied in my advancement. I may have seemed somewhat strange, carrying on my own time for living things with no value, that we know languages, wash over them on the wave at a time. When the houses fell in the earthquake, I lost my wife, my daughter. It all rotted and stood still falling where they were in the light. I named for my wife flower, outside I could name a flower, my wife dark, and illuminous and not there. I lost the drawings of of the flowers and fire. I lost the drawings of the flowers in fire. I lost the studies of the flowers, my first 6 books on the sea. Then I saw the flowers themselves were gone. They were indeed gone, I saw. Then my wife was gone. Then I saw my daughter was gone after my eyes were gone. One day I was looking at infinity, small creatures on the bright, and then the next day is a hearing after music. So this is the way I see now. I take a shell on my hand, now to itself and to me. I feel like thickness, the warmth and the cold. I listen to the water, which is a story welling up. I remember the colors and their lips. Everything takes me by surprise. This is all awake in the darkness. So it is kind of tricky, but I what I learned from this unit about poetry is that it is kind of tricky, and you have to it's like you had to find the meaning of the words and the poem. For me, this poem means that when you have everything, when you have money, when you have popularity, people follow you, people is there with you. But when you don't have nothing, when you don't have money, when you're poor, when you don't see, when you're sick, really sick, people is not there anymore. So that's what I can tell. I learned from this unit, and for me, this is what I mean this poem. Thank you guys.
Mrs. Rice.
This is right.
Actually, Miss Rice Evans. Betty Rice Evans.
Who are you and what are you doing for us?
Well, I'm Betty Rice Evans, and I teach English 9.
English 9.
Yeah,
Okay.
English 9 and English 9 honors.
That's good. That's good. Can you tell us about what is poetry? Poetry.
Poetry.
Uh-huh.
Poetry captures life. It captures living.
Uh-huh.
It's an expression of all things that we aspire to be and that we are.
And how do you teach poetry to your students?
I think we teach best by allowing students to do what we're trying to do, what we're trying to teach them by application and by synthesis, different kinds of poetry and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So why are you doing this? In
Uh,
what class?
for ELA.
Okay.
Yeah.
What unit is this?
Yes.
What unit? A
Oh, what
poetry
unit?
unit?
Yeah, poetry unit.
Oh, okay, because I'm working on poetry right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, figurative language
Yeah,
and the
figurative language,
incorporation of
idioms
that.
and all that.
Okay.
One thing to the students that are watching you to improve their poetry skills.
So what advice would I give
Yeah.
them? The best advice is just practice.
Practice.
Like anything else, you must practice it.
Practice. All
If
right.
you want to become proficient, if you want to do well at it.
All right. That's in your eyes.
All
Thank you
right.
for your time.
You're welcome, dear.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm here with
Mr. Racine.
Mr. Racine. Okay, Mr. Racine. What do you know about poetry? What is poetry?
Well, poetry means a lot of things, and you know, if you really believe in poetry, you should be able to find poetry in anything.
Okay.
Um,
How do you think poetry help us to see things different?
Well, it depends. What you have to do is you have to adjust your mind to the mind of the poet, the creator. So the creator can be very demanding. For example, the man who just won the Nobel Prize for Poetry, Bob Dylan, he writes words that can be very hard to understand in the order or with the order in which they are placed,
Yeah.
or with some of the descriptions that he might give or render to us. So, poetry is a very interesting combination of meter, language, and culture, thought. Some of the great people who have written in the Spanish language, people like Pablo Neruda, you know, it definitely relates to the culture, or can, but with heart. But it also has been said that the greatest poetry transcends all languages. If you translate something by the great Neruda, you will find meaning in English that hits you right here and here. Okay. So.
The last thing, what advice that you give the students that are watching you to understand better poetry? Because we know poetry is hard to understand because they use our language and it is kind of tricky. So, one advice that you give to students?
Try to imagine a poem within your own space. Try to approach it for its history and culture, but then maybe try to read it again and just for yourself. And if there are things that stand outside the words, if a feeling is created, or if an idea is bigger than just where you are right now, then I think the poet has done his job or her job.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you.